Many people ask us, what should I do after an accident? And right after an accident, everything can be overwhelming. You're in pain, you're maybe confused. Sometimes people have concussions, and so they're not sure what to do. And so it's very important to follow certain steps right after an accident to make sure that that your rights are protected and that you're making sure that you get checked out. So the first thing to do is to call 911. And there are two reasons why you should do that. The first reason is that you need to make sure that the police are there to properly document the accident. We've had a lot of cases where people admit fault early on, and then later on they're like, oh, no, that wasn't my fault. And so it's very important that you have the police there to say, hey, what happened? And then if they're willing to admit fault early on, that goes in the police report and we have it and liability is clear there. The second reason why you want to make sure that you have emergency personnel on the way is so that you can get checked out. I've seen lots of cases where initially people thought they were fine, and then after 10 or 15 minutes they realized that they probably needed to have some kind of medical attention. And so it's very important that you've got police on the way, EMTs on the way, so that you can have the accident properly documented and that you can have the right kind of treatment that you need. And speaking of treatment, I would really recommend that you get checked out there on the scene. Even if you decide not to take the ambulance ride to the hospital, maybe you're okay to drive to the hospital on your own, it's very important that you get checked out so that any injuries are properly documented. And it's also very important that you're honest with emergency personnel so that those things go in the reports. Society has trained us all to say, oh, I'm fine. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. After an accident, you don't say, I'm fine. If you're hurting, you say, man, my neck hurts, my head hurts, my back hurts. And be honest with emergency personnel. It's very important that you document everything. So even if you don't feel well enough to do this, it's very important that you take pictures, and not just pictures of your car, but pictures of the other car. And the reason for that is that sometimes, well, first of all, a picture tells 1,000 words, right? And so the reason that it's important to take pictures of both vehicles is because what if your vehicle isn't very damaged, but the other car is destroyed? That tells 1,000 words. The fact that the other car was destroyed says, hey, this was a bad accident. This wasn't just a little fender bender. Because if you look at the pictures of your vehicle and it doesn't show very much damage, then that's not good for your case. But if the other car has significant damage, then we can show the insurance company, hey, here's my car, here's the other person's car, and there's significant damage there. So, and for that reason, it's very important that you take different angles, because sometimes a picture taken at an angle that's not great will actually not show as much damage. And so it's very important to try to take pictures of showing the real damage to your vehicle. Because if there's damage to your vehicle, then in the insurance adjuster's mind, if there's damage to your vehicle, then there must be damage to you too. So in speaking with police, it's very important that you don't necessarily admit fault, but that you stick to the facts of what happened and let the police determine liability if they can. And before you talk to the police, it's very important that you think through what happened and that you have a good narrative as to what happened, sticking to the facts and trying to explain things in the best light possible for your side of the story. Another thing that will happen often right after an accident is insurance companies will start calling you. And especially if, insurance companies are trying to determine liability early and they're trying to get to where they don't have to pay. So if the other party's insurance company is calling you, they're trying to get you to say it was your fault, or they're trying to get you to admit something that could hurt your case. And so it's really important not to talk to the other side's insurance company right after an accident, and instead talk to an attorney. And if a recorded statement becomes necessary later on, then I sit with clients all the time through recorded statements, and before the recorded statement we make sure that we talk about the facts of the accident, what happened, and we present the accident in the light that's most favorable to your case. The sooner you call an attorney, the better. We can guide you through the process. We can make sure that the case is presented in the light most favorable to you, to both your insurance company and the other insurance company. We make sure that you get started on the treatment that you need and just help you through the process. We help you make sure that you don't make any missteps early on. And remember, it costs you nothing to call us. The call is free, the consultation is free, and we can make sure that you get advice for how to handle certain situations early on. Finally, after an accident, we want to make sure that you can focus on healing. That's one of the reasons that we like to have you call us early, so that we can take care of all the legal stuff, all the insurance maze, and you can focus on healing and getting better and making sure that you're getting all the treatment that you need. If you've been hurt and it wasn't your fault, we will be here with you every step of the way. We'll make sure that you get the treatment that you need and that your rights are protected. And it's important that you start that process early so that we make sure that you get the compensation that you deserve.